All right, we're live. We're back at you again. AX Football. This is Rick here.
I embody, how we move, man, dropping knowledge on fools. Let's make it happen.
So today, first we're going to talk about Afcon. I haven't been able to watch a whole lot just because the game's back in the motherland, 8 p.m. kickoff local time. Here in the States for us is 9 or 10 a.m. So I'm working at that time. So I just have to watch the highlights. A few surprises in the last round. I wasn't expecting Burkina Faso to get through or Equatorial Guinea, but here they are, trying to pull some upsets in the next round here. Who do you like here in the final matchups?
Man, yeah, I was thinking for the events that I knew Ghana was just on vacation. They were going to go out. But I thought Nigeria was going to go pretty far. But man, I wasn't expecting that at all for Nigeria to go out. So I think you might be onto something. I might have to follow you from Cameroon, probably doing the business. Home field, they're hosting the tournament. The opponents getting red cards 10 minutes into the game. Never put it past Africans, man. That judge is on. So I think Cameroon will do it. I've been able to watch a little bit of the games. I thought Ivory Coast, man, of course, a United player misses the PK.
Yeah, bye.
It's like that. That was a little bit disappointing, but yeah, right now I think Cameroon and probably I don't think Egypt is that good. They don't create much.
Yeah, I think they'll lose to Morocco.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll probably be Cameroon and Morocco probably in the final.
Yeah, that's the one I'm hoping for. So for the quarterfinal matchups, there's Gambia versus Cameroon. I'm pretty sure Cameroon will win that one. If not by talent, then of course by paying off the referees because it's the home team.
By any means necessary, bro.
Yeah, that's right. Burkina Faso and Tunisia. I think Tunisia will just slightly edge them. They've had a couple of really nice goals in the tournament. Wabi Kazri, formerly of the Premier League, is doing a decent job leading that team. So I think they'll get past Burkina Faso. Egypt, Morocco, like we said, I think Morocco is the favorite in that one. And then Senegal and Equatorial Guinea. Senegal, I'm not sure if they'll have Sadio Mane back for that one. And
with the concussion.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So that one I think could go either way. But if it's anything like the last round, there might be a couple upsets. There was 6 red cards in the 8 games in the round of 16.
Yo, man. We play the game a little bit different, man. So, but that's what makes it fun, though, as long as it's not excessive. But, discipline, unfortunately, when I was in Germany, you know what my German coach told me, man? He was like, do you know why the African teams will never be like a German team in the big event or like the big European countries? But I think he was mainly speaking of German goals. Because when it matters, man, we know we can rattle them. We can rattle them, and somebody for sure will get a red card off the bat. So they're strategic, like, yeah, this guy temper. Let's go after this guy. I'm like, hey, it's part of the game, man. It's the dark arts. If you know your opponents can't keep their composure, that's what you got to do. So I do think the soccer has been better this Afcon. I think the teams are playing better soccer. The next step is to start getting some decent African goalkeepers, get a few Mendy's. Oh, man, some of the goalkeepers, man, I could do a better job than them. Bro, I was laughing like, how the hell? But normally, you know how they normally end up as goalkeepers in Africa. You put the worst players in. So
yeah, that's right.
It kind of makes sense. While it's like in Europe or the rest of the world, a lot of times it's the better players, athletic players that are going, I just want to be a goalkeeper. In Africa, you just put the worst player in, So I was a goalkeeper, but it wasn't because I was the worst player, though. Fuck, it's because I was the only one that no one could score on. So I'll play a goalie, game will be tied, and then the last 10 minutes I'll come out and go score the winning goal.
It's some crazy stuff out there, but hopefully I'll be able to watch some of the games this weekend. So that'll be fun. Moving on to transfers, some interesting news. Not really any major deals happening in the past few days. Just a lot of speculation, negotiations, that kind of things. The first one I saw this morning was Inter Milan. Looks like they have a loan deal, 18 months or something like that, for Robin Gosens from Atalanta, one of their rivals. So I was really shocked to see that one. I think he's been hurt quite a bit for Atalanta, which to me made it sound like maybe Inter should look for different options, but he's on the younger side, German international, pretty good player. But I saw something that said it was a negotiation to buy or obligation to buy. So after the loan deal is done, they have to negotiate to buy him from Atalanta, which I haven't seen something like that before. Usually there's an option to buy, but this one said obligation to buy. So
now there's a few people, even United was trying to pull that off with the Martial one to tell them they have to buy him at a certain price. It didn't work. I don't know, man. I never trust Italians and transfers and stuff. There's probably some backdoor deal. Atlanta going, you know what? We can't win the league. You close enough. You might be able to, you can possibly win it or whatever. So we'll give you this just to secure you. And then you just give us some of that winnings, This Italian league is run like a freaking mafia organization, bro.
It is.
Like, Juventus have no money and all of a sudden, are you kidding me? They dropped like 70 million of that. How? Arsenal just talks about these players. Same with Gomes. They keep talking about it and it looks like he's going to Newcastle. Everybody they talk about, I'm like, the Arsenal fans are the best, man. I think let's just mess with them. They link them to like all the top players and then all of those players go somewhere else and go.
Yep, one by one.
So.
No, but the Martial deal was interesting because they've been talking for almost a month now, and the deal just got finalized. What was it, yesterday or the night before? And it says Martial explicitly wanted there to be no buyback clause or something like that, or no option to buy clause in there. So I think he wants to just be a free agent, free to decide where he wants to go afterwards, which from Manchester United's perspective, I think was dumb to allow him to do that, because they're thinking, okay, yeah, we can still get rid of him after the loan deal is done. But I think the way Martial is seeing it, and his agent, whoever his agent is they don't want Martial to be tied down to a commitment to Sevilla after the loan deal is done. So after he's done, he's free. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He can choose where he wants to go. And like,
it won't really work that way.
Pocket whatever the money is for whoever decides to buy him and move on with life.
No, his is not that way. His is actually United wanted that. Sevilla actually wanted the option to buy. It's United that didn't want to put it in. And you have to put yourself in United's position, right? Martial still has, he's not free this summer. He still has 2 years, I think 2 years or 3 years left on his contract, right? Yeah. So United can keep him. If you put the option to buy, you agree the price now. And let's say Martial goes and kills it, right? Now you locked in and sell him at a lower price. But if you somehow exclude that, he goes and kills it. Now he's going to get a lot of minutes because Juventus wanted him and Barcelona wanted him. And I watched his interview today. He's like, yeah, he wanted to go to Sevilla specifically because you get the playing time that he wants. He just wants to play. He even took a little bit of a pay cut to go there so he can play. If he kills it, instead of United maybe trying to get, they'll still probably want to sell him, trying to get like, let's say 40 million for him to go, now it's 60 million. Or if the new coach comes in for United, if it's not Uncle Ralph and the new coach comes in, I know Pochettino is a big Martial fan. If he likes him, he goes, yeah, you went, you got your minutes, you're back, we're playing this way, Ronaldo and them are gone, and we set to go. So I think that's the first time I think United actually made a smart move. But they were trying to do the same thing with Lingard, which is going to backfire because he's actually free.
Yeah, this summer.
Instead of taking the 12 million that Newcastle wanted to give, they wanted to add like an extra like 5 million into it to go. It's like a safety relegation safety clause. So if he goes and helps them stay in the Premier League, then Newcastle has to pay another 60 million or whatever. I'm like, oh, 6 million. I'm like, who the hell wants to do that? Because they're probably thinking he's going to make the same impact he did at
West Ham.
West Ham. But I'm like, at that point, Lingard can just go, screw it. You know what? I'll leave for free. I don't feel bad for Lingard because he thought he was smart and he can't have it both ways, right? He had the option to leave in the summer. He decided to stay because his thought process was, I'm going to leave next summer for free, right? So, and now he was thinking, oh, I'll get some minutes, I'll leave next summer for free. Now he's not getting the minutes. It's a World Cup year. It's kind of backfiring. As I bet you, Ole told him, don't worry, you're part of our plans. You're going to play. It's like, oh, you know what? I'll play, not sign a new deal, leave for free, pocket that signing bonus for myself. And all of a sudden, it's not happening. So he's missing out. So I'm like, you made the decision. You had the chance to leave and you didn't. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Newcastle, they've they've kind of just been linked with everybody. The big one, Bruno Guimaraes from Lyon, the midfielder. Pretty good player. It sounds like they've opened negotiations, just trying to come up with the final price. So that I think is a good move for Newcastle to strengthen up their midfield a little bit. Nicholas Sula from Bayern Munich.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah, that just got linked. It sounds like the hierarchy at Bayern Munich don't want him anymore. They thought he was going to be a good investment, but then they realized he's just a big brick, basically. Yep. Not very technical, not very intelligent. So now they want to get rid of him. Not even negotiating contract.
Yeah, they'll let him go free. Well, they said they gave him an offer and he refused, but I know how the Bayern Munich works. They'll probably give him like some below the table offer just to make him refuse, and they can go, we give him an offer, he refused. Yep. But I think it's most likely the way the Bayern Munich have always said is they always want the best German players at Bayern Munich. So I think they're going to go after Rudiger.
Yeah. No, I think so too. So yeah, if Sula wants to change up his scene and go to the Premier League, I think that's definitely an option for him. He might even end up making more money than he was making at Bayern, going to Newcastle. So that's
I think he's still shit though.
Yeah, I agree. But if he'll help, I don't see why not. They also been linked with Donny van de Beek, but it looks like he's actually in negotiations with Crystal Palace, which I actually think is a better move for him. Yep. Slightly more stable club. I think Vieira is personally, I think he's a better manager than Eddie Howe. And I also think the style suits him a little bit better, especially if Conor Gallagher leaves next year. I think you slap Van de Beek right in there and things just keep on moving. So whereas Newcastle, I think, is kind of having the same issue as United, where they're just buying players for the sake of buying players, not really thinking, okay, how are all these pieces going to fit together? Like Chris Wood, when they bought him, I'm like, okay, from the perspective of weakening your opponents in the relegation battle, that makes sense. But from the perspective of trying to actually build a team that's A, going to survive in this Premier League and then B, move up in this Premier League, I don't see why that move made any sense. I personally wouldn't have bought Chris Wood if I was Newcastle, but somebody thought it was a good idea. So
I thought it was a good idea for them, weakening the opponent, but also you have to look at how I think Newcastle was like second or third in putting crosses into the box, but nobody there to finish him off because Wilson is a smaller guy and he likes to drop in and be on the ball. Chris Wood is actually, I think he's number one or number two in like all the heading categories inside the box. So if you put those together, he averages 10 goals per season in the Premier League playing for Burnley. That's not bad. So if you do those numbers, you can go, it wasn't that much money. Weakening them, let's whip in some crosses. You have players that can really serve the ball into the box. So I thought that was pretty good. And he makes his money. Newcastle weaken somebody. If he can get him even 8 goals from now to the end of the season, I think that would be a good investment, especially if they stay up. Add in a couple players that Dele Alli moved. I think I've always thought Dele Alli is a shit soccer player. For me personally, we're just way too lazy, moments player. But it seems like they want to get him too. I'm like, I'd rather pay the extra 6 million and get Lingard instead of Dele Alli, to be honest with you. He'll get there, he'll work hard for the first month, and then he'll go into his normal habit, just relaxing, doesn't care. Our friends at Arsenal, though, I always got to banter them. That Mikel Arteta, they're about to give him an extension. They need to fire that guy. He's not a bad coach, but he's a little dictator, and players won't play for him. Do you see what they pulled off? The whole team is going to Dubai. He left Aubameyang in London to train by himself, but took Jack Wilshere. Guy that's not even in the club. So I'm like, I don't know, man. He think he's a mini Pep, man, but he's on drugs, man. He's not even close, man.
Yeah,
he's a defensive coach. At the end of the day, that's what he is. His natural instincts, even when he was a player, his natural instinct is closer to Jose than it is to Pep. He'd rather keep the ball, not keep the ball, defend structure-wise, than to have the ball in attack. If you watch him play, you can see all the work on is their defensive shape, staying organized instead of going attacking, going forward. You can see it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Funny you brought up former Arsenal player. Another one was also linked with Newcastle, Aaron Ramsey. This guy, and if you thought Arteta was on drugs, Ramsey is probably the king of the crackheads himself.
He wants that same money he was getting at Juve, probably.
He wants that same money or maybe more that he was making at Juventus, even though he's barely played. And when he does play, doesn't really do much. And now he thinks he can barge into another big club. Not that Newcastle is a gigantic club, but to demand big wages and respect and playing time, I'm just confused right now. I like Ramsey at his peak. I thought he was very intelligent. He made very good runs off the ball, pretty technical, came up with the odd wonder goal every once in a while. But now he's just acting like a prick. I don't get it.
No, some of these players, man, they don't know their value, and you wonder who advises them. First of all, Juventus made a huge mistake giving him, and they say it, giving him 400 freaking thousand a week. What the frick? Ronaldo is making 500,000. They give him that money. That's why I always say I don't know how Juventus pulls up these stuff, but now they're struggling financially. Ramsey is a player that should be making at most 150,000 a week, at most, and accept whatever minutes they give him. He hasn't done anything in 3 years, injury prone. You can't just come and go, yeah, because you guys have money, just pay me. Screw it, watch him end up at like Burnley or something and getting 50,000 a week. No, that's what happens to a lot of these people, man. When a good deal is there, they oversell themselves. So then when the person walks away, they get screwed and they go, you know what, I'll take whatever is there. You have to be honest with yourself, man. What, Ramsey is for 28, 29?
29, I think, yeah.
29, about to be 30, forget it, man. His last big paycheck was the one with Juventus. So he should accept whatever is given and call it a day, man. Guys are idiots, man.
No, he's a pretty funny guy. Erling Haaland, another one. He just had that big interview where he's talking about Dortmund and how they're trying to pressure him into signing a new contract and doing all these negotiations. And he finally said on TV, I think it was this morning, oh, well, I have to say something, because like you said about Martial last week, when Rania came and said, oh, he didn't want to be in the squad, and then he immediately went back and said, nope, I never said any of this. This is false. Haaland now is coming back with punches against Dortmund saying, oh, they're trying to make me do this, and this is the actual situation. So it sounds like he's pretty open to a move. I feel like he's Madrid bound, but they're also another club whose finances aren't certain at the moment.
I mean, nowadays, the power have swung from the clubs to the players. Like I said, this is a trend that I think a lot of these players are taking from the NBA with the free agency. Why wouldn't you do it? If he doesn't want to sign an extension, Dortmund got him for a pretty cheap price. they were quoting United some crazy amount. Dortmund went and got it for not even 1/4 of that. So they know it, and they want to pull off like a Dembele type of thing, get them for 12 million, sell for 120, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, the players are no dummies now because they sit there and they do the math. They see the same stuff. They go, hey, you know what? You guys want me to sign an extension only for you to sell me like 6 months later, as soon as, because that's what it is. The moment he signs the extension, goes, oh, your release clause is 120 million. They'll sell him for 120 million. So literally by you just putting pen to paper, the club makes an extra what, 60 million. So he's going, nah, man, it won't work that way. I'm not going to sign an extension and I'm going to leave for free. And I'll go, instead of Madrid or whoever paying whatever, 130, 140 million for me, they'll give me a signing on bonus of 50 million. They still save 100 million, let's just say, for quick math. So 150, they give me signing on bonus for 15 million, they save 100 million. It's just common sense. The question is, how did these clubs start combating this so they don't get into these positions? And the only way they can do it is if they start doing what they do in the US, which is you have 2 years left on your contract. I know you don't want to sign the next one. I'll trade you. I'll trade you to Real Madrid and I'll take a player from Real Madrid who is in the same situation. They have to get to that because if they don't, all these big players, every year there's more players walking for free. Imagine Paul Pogba walking for free this summer. They get walking for free. These are not like small players.
Yeah, a lot of money lost too.
You know, so I think that's where the football is going. I'm happy he came out and spoke out because back in the days, you know, you don't hear these things. When no contract is signed, you just assume the players being greedy and they want more money, but it's not always that way, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the club putting in like some dumb release clause or stuff like that. And now these players are like, screw it. I'll just go say it in public. It will actually force you to even sell me because I just made you look bad. So you have to get rid of him. So I think most likely you end up at I think City or Real Madrid. I think I'm leaning more towards City, believe it or not.
Yeah, didn't his dad play there or something?
Yeah, his dad did.
Yeah. So I can honestly see that happening. The only thing about him going to City is I actually don't think he'll fit Guardiola's system the way everybody thinks he is. Because everyone's like, oh, City just needs somebody to sit in the box and tap in the goals. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. There was a play a couple games ago against Southampton, last game against Southampton, where Southampton set up in a 4-4-2 mid-block and City's playing their usual 4-3-3. Grealish was playing as the false nine, and he kind of dropped in between the lines to receive a pass. And the moment he did that, then you had the wingers going from their outside position and making the run diagonally in. And I'm like, okay, well, sure, Haaland can do that, but he actually prefers to be the one making those runs in behind, either as a single striker or playing in the 4-4-2 like they have been this year, with kind of Royce being his partner sometimes. And with City, I don't see a lot of situations where the striker is the one making the runs in behinds. Usually it's the midfielders or the outside backs or the wingers making those overlapping or third man runs through. So I'm like, okay, well, if you take away Haaland running in behind, what else is he going to do for you playing at City? I actually thought the perfect move would have been to get Harry Kane this past summer.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, yeah, he's a great poacher, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, he's not. If you see what Mourinho did to him, having him drop deeper and being a playmaker, that would be perfect for what's happening at City, because he's got the passing range of, let's say, like Wayne Rooney, and he's also got the same finishing ability. And if he needs to make late runs in, he can make late runs in. I thought Kane would have been.
No, he would have been perfect for them. You know, people, unfortunately, a lot of times they don't look at the football, like look at who, even though Pep is, people go, oh yeah, City, and he goes, yeah, he's a great player. Pep actually doesn't, at least from history. I'm not saying I know Pep personally, but sometimes you see patterns in the type of players coaches sign. He's going to see Haaland the way Zlatan was when Zlatan came. And he never liked that. Yeah. Right. He never liked that. He liked these slight, you know. strikers, even Aguero, as much as Aguero won them a lot of the Premier Leagues that they've won, he still didn't like Aguero because Aguero is not his type of player. He likes the players like Ferran Torres, Thierry Henry, you name
Phil
it.
Foden,
Phil
Mahrez.
Foden, these type of players. They have like Gabriel Jesus, even the new Argentinian that it looks like they're about to sign from United.
Julian Alvarez.
They all have the same profile. If you watch them, they have the same profile, their body type, the way they run, everything. They're slashers. He likes slashers because of the quick movement, like you just described. So anybody that's more like stationary, let me just hold space. He doesn't like that. He likes people that want to leave space and bring people with them. Zlatan likes to hold space. Haaland likes to hold space and kind of almost bully you. Lukaku likes to hold space. Lewandowski is similar to Harry Kane. Even though he's a bigger athlete, he's slight. He moves in, he can go wide, draw you out. He doesn't just hold
Yeah. Same with like Benzema as well. They can combine and move.
Exactly. And that, I think, at least from watching it, a lot of his team, that's what I think he looks for in players, and players that don't fit that, he just struggles with it. So I don't know. We'll see where he goes, but this is going to be a fun summer. I'll get some popcorn. I'll see what Real Madrid cooks up. I think Mbappe will probably end up staying at PSG. I have a feeling he's talking, but I don't know, man.
I think he's Madrid bound, man. 100%.
Madrid to get him for free, man. That'd be one of. And if they grab Pogba too, I swear, man, they're going to try and convince Mbappe to stay. I think PSG is going to go after Pogba on the free.
Yeah. No, if they can get Mbappe to stay, then I think the next move will be to convince Pogba to go over as well.
You get Pogba and Verratti in your midfield, bro. Nobody's touching that ball. And then what I'll do if I was them, I'll go Pogba, Verratti, midfield. Verratti is the 6, Pogba is the 8, and I'm gonna drop Messi into the 10 position. He's getting old. Just put those. You won't touch the ball. Put Neymar wide one side, put Mbappe wide the other side, and then freaking slap up United and buy Martial. Put him central. Bro, now you have a team where you have the finishers, you have the slashers, you have the ball retention, possession. Get a center back, and they're good. They have the goalkeeper already, man. Then they can really compete. I think PSG right now, they have the talent, but the talents don't fit with each other. You can't have 3 players that are not defending on your team. The way football is played right now, you can afford maybe 1 passenger. Man, anything more than that, man. And, it looks like, one of these migrant trains coming from South America to the US. Everybody's freeloading. You can't be doing that, man. You gotta.
No, but I think the issue that PSG is going to run up into is exactly what you said. There's too many players who won't want to defend, because you suggest pulling Messi into the midfield. I don't think he's going to defend anymore if he gets put into the midfield. He's getting old. He doesn't want to do extra work.
No, I'll play in a 4-3-3, but the best defense is keeping the ball. Right now, PSG doesn't possess the ball, so they actually have to defend. So if you get Verratti, who I think for the longest time I was hoping United would just make a move for the guy, who I think is probably one of the best 6s, the guy does not lose the ball. Include Pogba, guy does not lose the ball. When he's with France, he can finish a game at 98% ball retention. It's just United, he's playing with idiots. They can't control the ball. And Messi, you put those 3 in the middle, you're not losing the ball. Look at the players they have wide. Both of them are technical. Outside defenders are technical. Marquinhos, as your center back, one of them, technical, doesn't lose the ball. Neymar will retain the ball enough for you. Martial, I'll go for him, retains the ball pretty good. And then Mbappe, I don't think it's as technical as he looks. You do his step overs, but if you really watch his first touch and stuff, a lot of times he's chasing his first touch, but he's so quick, he makes up for it. He reminds me of how Rashford used to be when Rashford first started. But like I said, now Rashford got some injuries. He lost a yard of pace. Or some people are, this guy's not technical. I go, he's never been technical, but he was so rapid. You couldn't see that his first touch was freaking got 10 yards away from him. Yeah. So I think that will give you the balance that you need. Because remember, if you look at the Barcelona teams that Pep had, they weren't the greatest defenders. The three in the middle, Xavi, Iniesta, and who was that? Busquets. All
Yeah,
slow
but
as
they never
hell,
lose the ball.
but they never lose the freaking ball.
And the way that they press after they lose it, it's kind of like they're just mobbing you, ganging up on you, jumping
Exactly.
the ball, not necessarily 1v1 individual.
Because if they did it individual, they weren't athletic enough to be able to do it. So they have to do it as a collective, you know. Hyena style, man. They all go in. Don't do that lion stuff. I go hyenas, man.
It's crazy stuff, but we'll see where Mbappe ends up. One club that I saw a lot of both yesterday and today is Valencia. It looks like they're trying to make some moves, trying to figure things out. They're going after the Leipzig midfielder, Mariba, formerly of Barcelona. I think that would be a good move from them. They're going after Castillejo at AC Milan. He's not getting a kick. And I actually think he's decent. I don't think should be starting at AC Milan, but I think for Valencia, that's a pretty good move. And I actually think La Liga is a better fit for him than Serie A is. So that, for me, is a good move. And then they're going after Brian Hill as well from Tottenham, who barely
he's a ball. He's Spanish. Where did he come from, man? That guy, I like him. He reminds me of like a taller version of what's his name that used to be a Silva. Slightly, he looks a little bit taller than Silver, man. But man, I like him. He's technical, clean on the ball, skinny as hell though. But you assume, you know, as he gets older, you know, he fill in. I think he's a good player. If I was Tottenham, I won't let him go. He's creative enough. I don't think he's strong enough yet to impact games the way that they want him to in the Premier League. But remember when Silva came, man, he was just like that. And then all of a sudden he figured out the speed of play at Premier League and he killed everybody for over 10 years.
Well, I think they're slightly different. So Brian Hill, I think, is 20, just turned 20 not long ago, from Sevilla. I think he's more of a winger who likes to cut in, so kind of like a cheap Mahrez or like a not fast Arjen Robben. I just don't think he's technical or that he's cerebral enough about the game to be like a David Silva type player. I wish that could be the kind of player who he became, but I still think in his head he's trying to dribble at people and do all these skills 1v1, but he just doesn't have the technique that Mahrez has to be that kind of player.
Yeah. I mean, the few times I've seen him, yeah, you're right. He always cut in, but I see him as a player that you could easily convert into a number 10, which is kind of strange because Tottenham is missing like creative players, and it seems like other players they're trying to get rid of are creative players. So, I mean,
no, that's true, but they're all
Conte must know something, you know, that we don't know.
Yeah, but they're all, I don't think none of the players they have are a good fit because like the way you're describing Brian Hill, the player who I think of, Giovanni Lo Celso, and he never plays. So I'm like, okay, well, they don't want him either. And he actually works pretty hard, I would say, but I think he lacks discipline, you know.
That guy, have you ever watched him play for Argentina? He's a baller when he plays with Argentina, bro. But for some reason, man, I don't know.
Even when he was at PSG, he would just dribble through 3 or 4 people, leave everybody for dead, and then make a nice pass to finish off the play. But I don't think he's quite figured out the Premier League yet.
Yeah.
And then Dele Alli, like you say, is a passenger, lazy guy. Pretty languid. Doesn't really look like he has any fight in him.
Any player that does stuff like Dele Alli, man, even for kids that I coach, man, it drives me nuts, man. I don't want them anywhere near my team, bro. Like, if you're going to be that type of player, then you should keep the ball when you get it. That's my biggest frustration. But he doesn't keep it when he gets it. And then after he loses it, he walks. I'm like, nah, man, Messi can't do that because he keeps it and he drops 50, 60 goals a year.
Yeah.
You know, and now he wants to be freaking Deli Kravitz, you know, with that freaking hair he has. I think it's Lenny Kravitz, man. What's wrong with this guy?
It's tough times, man.
We'll see. All the major ones? Did we miss anybody?
I'm not sure.
Chelsea is pretty much losing their whole back line.
Yeah, that's going to be a nightmare for them in the summer.
Cesar, Barcelona, I think they'll get Cesar.
Yeah, Barcelona, I think will get him. But again, I don't see how that's a good move for them.
Yeah, right back.
Unless Xavi's gonna use him in a back three as the center back, right side of center back in a back three.
No,
That's
I
the only
think
way I
it's
can
like
see it.
right
Because I
back.
know, yeah, when Xavi, I'm blanking on the club he was just at.
Al Sadd.
Al Sadd, when he was at Al Sadd, all he played was 3-4-3. He barely ever played 4-3-3. So I think he's trying to rebuild the 3-4-3 so he can just play that off the bat instead of trying to do all these like variations and shift players around.
I would give him credit, man. I watched a couple games for Al Sadd, man. I'm like, damn, that guy got them all your players playing. There was some good soccer, man. Regardless of what the league was, like some of the goals they were scoring, like team goals, I'm like, holy moly. So we know he has it in his locker. And even now, since he's came, a couple of Barcelona games I've watched, I can see the ideas, like the
Well,
short
even against
passes.
Real Madrid, I thought Barcelona was the better team,
Yeah.
honestly, just based off of how they played. But Madrid, I think, has actually been like this for quite some time. Whenever they play against, I even think since Mourinho, uh, Madrid has always just been like, you know what, we'll let these fools keep the ball. We'll just play counterattack. We'll
Yep.
defend, sit a little deeper, and we'll just hit them on the break, which is fine if it gets you the point. But I hate when people then start to argue and say, oh, this Madrid team is great. They're one of the best ever. I'm like, how? They just sit back and counterattack. If you're telling me you're the
I
best at,
mean,
if you're telling
the
me you're the best at this, then you better go out and dominate every freaking team that you play. Then you can say you're the best.
Yeah, the good thing I like about the Madrid team, the way Jose Bilde, Ancelotti, all these coaches that have gone through, each one's you can see each one's fingerprint still in their culture, so they can quickly adjust from a possession team to a counterattack team to a low block team. Like you can just see it, which I think is key. Like you know me as a coach, that's similar to what I do. I like to like go through periods where I coach the teams in one of these styles. So depend on the opponent on the day, if I decide, you know what, today we just going to, this team is much more superior to us, more, they'll retain the ball more than us, I can quickly get a team into a low block. If I think, yo, this team, we can possess around them, we become a possession team. Most of the time, we're a possession team. And then if it's a counter-attack thing, we can do that too, you know? I think for me personally, that's how I like teams to be flexible enough. And I think if you look at the downfall of Barcelona or even let's say Man City, eventually you can see it's like there's no plan B. It happened to Arsene Wenger. They never have like, if they have to change, they're so rigid that what you want them to do different is too foreign for them.
Yeah.
So they'll stick to that. But the question is, most of the time they find on all cylinders, so they don't have to adjust. Like the game that they just tied against Southampton.
Yeah.
That's a game that I go, you know what? Screw this, man. Today, because I went and watched the replay after you talked, I go, the way the game was going, Southampton was dominating in moments. I'd have just become a counter-attacking team, but they still wanted to, you know,
dominate, yeah.
probe their way. So I go, no, when you have a team on a mission to go, I'm stopping you from doing. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with just sending one over the top to just see if you can get them to back off, create a little space, right? So I don't know. That's the one thing I like about Madrid is that you can watch them 3 games in a row and they'll play 3 different styles. And you go, what the heck? But I think they adjust to each opponent, you know?
Yeah.
Let's wrap some American knowledge in here, man. Yeldon's contract was terminated, man. How the guy even got a professional contract, I don't know, man. Shows you how shitty he is. Guy's bad, bro.
We've been saying it for years. He was a pace merchant, and year after year, when he loses a little bit of pace after each injury, you can just see this guy has zero soccer IQ, not very technical, not a very good player. And now even in Turkey, he can't cut it. I'm like, all right, well, there's freaking literal farmers or guys who have part-time jobs, you know, working in shops who can cut it in Turkey, but apparently Yedlin can't. That's an issue for me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to see who else. Nah, there's nothing else that was special over the week.
Yeah, the only other thing that I saw was the US women's national team. They doing their little tournament they do every winter, the She Believes Cup. But none of the teams are very good. It's like Iceland, New Zealand, stuff like that. I'm like, why are you playing these teams?
Bro, man, they want to believe, man. So they could beat on people and then go, we believe, you know. Nah, man. I actually like that they do that, but it would be nice if they like got like Holland, some of the bigger countries in there. I think, unless I mean they called up quite a few young players too, so maybe it's not too bad and give someone experience playing against other national teams, but maybe not the biggest ones out there, just to build their confidence too.
Well, that's what France did last year. France came with all these kids. I didn't even know half of them. And think the US barely beat them like 1-0 or something like that. And I think now it's starting to get to that point where we've been talking about for the past 4 years that eventually this cycle of players, Carly Lloyd, Megan Rapinoe, Tobin Heath, what have you, is going to start to age out a little bit. And you have to figure out who the next crop of players are.
Dennis Rodman's daughter is one of the ones that they're talking about, and I've watched it a couple of times. I'll reserve my opinions, but
no, I remember the young girl Mallory Pugh. She came out of nowhere, this pace merchant, crazy speed, and then after like 6 months, she fell off the face of the earth. And I'm like, well, that's not very sustainable, model to go for player development, but. Yeah, I'm actually interested to see if there's an actual next crop of players who can compete with the best, because I'm not convinced that there is. Yeah.
If you normally when the national team is good, most of the time, if you just look at any national team, men's or women's, normally the group that ends up being good normally go to like the under 17 World Cup and do well, and then the under 20s do well. And then let's say out of that group, maybe 10 of them graduate to the first team and then start doing well for the national team for like 10 years. If you look at the reason why England is balling now, a lot of the kids won that under 17 team that won the World Cup and then under 20. And Mason Mount, Saka, Smith Rowe, who else? Greenwood, I don't think was on there, but there's a whole bunch. Gallagher, Tariq Lamptey, Hudson-Odoi, all of them were on that team. And now those are the names that are starting to come out. And if you go and look, the US struggled in the last under 17 World Cup for the women's. They didn't get out of the group in under 20s for the women's, the first time in the country's history. So most likely those are some of the kids that are graduating to the first team now. Well, if you couldn't beat Spain at under 17, under 20, they've graduated to the first team and you've graduated to the first team. Of course, you're going to struggle against them. That's why like Portugal, these type of countries are not coming up. But unfortunately, the way the system is set up here, man, once you get caught up, once they just keep calling you, they don't give the next player a chance. So
right. Even though I feel like we have the resources to be able to support not just even one team, like multiple teams. Like if I was
we have the most
running these like ODP or whatever kind of things, I would say, you know what? All the US club people, you guys will make a national team for your group, and then we'll make one for the USU soccer group as well. The top 11 for every age, each group. We'll have you play against each other, and from those, we'll pick a first team and a second team after we combine them both. This will be youth national team A. This will be youth national team B. Just rotate them every tournament, rotate them, see how the kids do, because at the end of the day, maybe you get to like a U17 World Cup or something like that. Now you got to pick the best of the best. And you go, okay, well, I have 30 players to choose from ECNL, GA, wherever else they want to grab kids from, ODP, what have you. And now you can say, okay, well, I've literally looked at the best kids in the country. These are my best 11 for sure. This is the next best 10, and so on. But what they're doing, like you say, is they have, the select few kids who they've been picking since U13 because they were bigger, faster, stronger, whatever. And those are usually the kids that, they grandfather all the way through the system. And it just doesn't work that way.
Bro, it is the way it is. We have the most girls, women playing soccer in the fucking world, bro.
Right.
So how can you tell me because our golden generation is going through, all of a sudden we're struggling to beat Portugal and Spain, who literally just started investing in their women's soccer like less than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
If it's Germany and Japan and stuff, okay. But literally Spain and Portugal started investing in women's soccer less than 10 years ago.
Yeah. And they already looking pretty good.
Yeah. So obviously they always say it doesn't matter what talent you have, it's the people that decide what talent is. And I think that's what our problem is the talent identification people have no clue what the hell they're doing. They're trying to pick talent today based on what they saw when they were players or 15 years ago or whatever. And unfortunately, soccer changes, football changes, and I don't think they're adapting. They're still using the old models to select players. If a player goes to North Carolina, go, yep, we call you to the national team. If a player goes to certain Stanford, we call you to the national team. I go, there might be a good player that just didn't want to go to any of those schools and went to, I don't know, South Dakota. Are you going to go watch a play to go, hey, here's a player? So unfortunately, I think there's too many places they have to look and they don't want to put in the work. There's too many leagues, too many schools, too many states. So it's like, you know what? Let's just take whoever we trust recommended and call it a day. Yep. That's the easiest path. So,
well, and the colleges do it too. Instead of going to watch, the local games in whatever cities they're in, they're like, let's just go to the ECNL showcase. Let's just go to the GA showcase. That's where all the best kids are going to be.
You know what they say, man.
That assumption.
And life is a funny thing. I always tell people, I go, everybody wants to marry a model, but they don't freaking look in the mirror and go, are you a model? It comes with more expense. I go, the person you want to look for most likely is not the model. It's the person, I don't know, sitting somewhere that might, help jump your car. Soccer is the same way. They all want to go look for that thoroughbred. So everybody thinks it's at this location. I think if I was to run, and eventually one of these days, you see, if I take over a college program, I bet you I can beat anybody because I won't look for the place where everybody else goes. Everybody goes to, let's say, an ECNL tournament. They're all looking at the exact same kids. I'd rather go to South Dakota and find that one kid that nobody's looking at and go, yep, here's one. And I'll go to, I don't know, Montana and find that one kid. And, pick them up, find one in whole, pick these kids that are high-end players, but because as a team, collectively, they might not be as strong as some of these ECNL teams, you won't spot them. That's how I think you do it. And that's how soccer is done around the world. They literally, the best players are normally the ones that are, go and look at the history of like some of the best players. Go, oh, look at how they found Cristiano Ronaldo. He was on an island, Maritimo. Somehow they go, you know what, that's the kid. And then they brought him into the cities and then went from there. There's a reason for it, but unfortunately the system, the way it's set up here, half of the time these college coaches, the funny thing, I think this past summer when I did a tournament in Chicago, inter tournament, literally the college coaches came and it's just like a hangout time. They were all like, it was raining. They all just stand there laughing. There's like 15 of them. I'm like, no one is watching the game. It's like a free vacation for them when they go, I'm going on this recruiting trip. Most of the time they're just going to, it's a social hour. Let me network to see what job is going to become open. Then I'll apply for that one. That's what they're doing. So then the teams at the very top, your North Carolinas or whatever, Florida States, they'll be fine because they'll get the supply line, but then everybody in between is shit every single year. And I go, you should be able to, compete with some of these teams. If you look at how many girls play soccer in this country,
right?
You should be able to compete. You shouldn't have your North Carolinas and Stanford literally winning the college championship every year. I mean, now Florida State is making a mark for themselves too, but but what do I know, man? I'm just some African dude, man. So
you're the African expert.
You see the boy, our US boy Pepe, he went to Augsburg and now they're like, yeah, he's struggling. It's going to take him time to catch on. Like, yo, the guy scored 2 goals in a World Cup game and then they overhyped him and all of a sudden he's gone for 20 million or whatever he went for.
Yeah.
Like we overhype the players too early. Pulisic struggling. All these players struggling. I'm like, we overhype them way too early. We gotta watch them do it consistently for 1 season, 2 season. By season 3, halfway through it, if they're still producing, then you go, okay, this is the truth. But you can't go off half a season or a cameo here and then go, yep, this is the next big thing.
No, there was a ESPN show the other day where Craig Burley was ripping people. Somebody was like, oh, is it time for Christian Pulisic to move on to a new team? Could he fit in well at Liverpool? And Craig Burley's reaction is just like, who is this? What's this guy's name? And he's like, well, somebody put me on the phone with this guy because I've got a few words for him. If Pulisic can't even get into this Chelsea team,
how the hell are you going to get into Liverpool?
He's going to play at Liverpool.
Nah, Pulisic, the team that Pulisic needs to be on is like a team like an Everton.
No, like Leeds, West Ham, those kind of teams.
Yeah, like those type of teams. I think that's his level, But
like if Tottenham gets Adama Traore, I think then Pulisic should go to Wolves, and I think he'll be fine there.
Yeah. Nah, but he won't get playing time, man. You forgot Neto is coming back, huh?
Nah,
there's levels to this football thing, man. And there's levels, just like there's levels to life. There's levels in everything, and you have to know your level. You have to go, this is my level. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand. I know my level in coaching. I knew my level as a player. Obviously, you can always graduate to the next one, but don't think you're in that level when you're not in there yet. And that's why I think it's getting a lot of these young players, Greenwood, I like Greenwood, but I'm afraid I think he might not make it, He hasn't been consistent enough, but now he gets sub and he attitude, those type of stuff. He think he's at the level that he hasn't really earned anything to be there yet. But because he was hype, he think he's there. You see with Saka, you see with all these young players, because now they all have social media. Go, look, I have 20 million people follow me on social media. Everybody's saying I'm the next thing. So they start believing in this hype. And all of a sudden, they go, Hudson Odoi, same thing. He hadn't done anything. Goes, I want this, I want this. I go, you haven't done anything. It's potential that you have. So people, unfortunately, never accept the levels, man. But you got to be able to look in the mirror and go, yep, this is my level. It doesn't mean I'm going to stay here forever. But at the moment, this is my level. And I'm going to try and get the next thing here. Same thing with Rashford. Rashford hasn't done anything in football for me. For him to demand what he's done more outside of football, feeding people than he has in it.
Yeah.
But because of what he did outside of football and the praise he got, he's transformed that over to football to go, yeah, I must be the one, right? And if you watch Cristiano Ronaldo's interview he did, 2 weeks ago, that's literally what he was saying. Goes, when I came to Manchester United, the old guys, told me, stop that shit, do this. And I took it personal and I improved. He goes, nowadays, you can't tell these young players anything. But I saw the guy, he was literally talking about Greenwood. Because you can see Greenwood will look at him and won't pass him the ball and stuff like that. I go, there's levels to it. Whether you like, me, Ronaldo is washed. I think he's done. But regardless of what you like, he's accomplished something in football that has to be respected if you're playing with him. There's a reason why he's still at the top level at 37 years old. But the young kids, they don't have any respect there, but I don't give a fuck, man. As long as I'm on the team with you, I'm just as good as you. But they don't put in the work. He literally said the kids, they don't come early, they don't stay after. How are they expecting to improve?
Yeah, they don't have that like Ronaldo, Kobe Bryant, those kind of elite athlete mentality.
Look after the game. Ronaldo gets sub. I know he's the biggest baby in the world and it pisses me off, but he literally cries, even though they're winning 3-0. These kids, after the game, they lose. Was the one Chelsea played, was it Liverpool? The game was over and all the guys were standing talking like it's no big deal when you just lost the game. I go, back in the days, you think Roy Keane will lose a game to Arsenal and then be just standing and talking to Vieira? They'll be freaking fighting.
It's fighting.
I'm not saying they should fight, but you see like what it means. Like right after the game, they don't have the time for that. But now it's like, whatever. And then they go on each other's Instagram commenting. I'm like, that's not a competitor. The money has taken the competition out of it. Now they all see each other as, yo, we rich, we're making a lot of money for playing football. That's it. I saw the one with that's the one. It was City against Arsenal. After they slapped them up recently, and then freaking what's his name, Grealish and Saka was standing. That's why I made the comment that one day I won't be surprised if like a Saka or somebody goes to City, because they're friends, man. Grealish should be like, yo, man, leave this dead football club, man. Come over, and they'll go over. There's no more allegiance to anything. So.
Yeah, no, there was a story from Gary Neville about when he tried to convince Gerrard to join Manchester United, and that caused all these problems in the England team and what have you. I'm like, you wouldn't get that nowadays. Nowadays, people just go, nah, that's nothing. I'm not coming to your club. Or they might take it seriously and go, okay, how much money are you making? How much money do you think I can? Blah, blah, blah. They're not going to
Arsenal, you don't win.
This is my club.
They're like, hey, yo, Arsenal, you're not winning anything, man. Come on over. I bet you they're on the group chats together. So it's like there's no like competition. And unfortunately, you see it everywhere, whether it's at the professional level or at the youth level. Competition is getting killed and nobody competes for anything. I go, the whole point of sports is to fucking compete, to see who is better. So if that goes out, then it's just testimonials that we're watching on TV. They're coming, Man United against City testimonial. You just watch it for what it is, and then you call it a day. So,
nah, it's crazy stuff, man.
We got it all for this week. Hopefully, we didn't miss any key ones. I hate the international break, man. 2 weeks, no football, man. It sucks, bro.
I mean, you can watch football if you want to wake up at 3 a.m. and, watch games at freaking the middle of the day, stuff like that. So,
no, I watch games middle of the day, man. My job is not like yours, man. I work on one computer. I watch my games on the other, man. But the international games, unless it's like a tournament, I don't enjoy them as much. Even if it's a World Cup qualifier, I don't enjoy them as much. Pace is slow and all that stuff. But once it gets to like the playoffs and stuff, then it's fun. But the normal
even for me, I actually preferred like the Champions League over the World Cup. Even I just feel like a lot more of the games are more competitive, well contested. I've always liked the spirit of the Champions League. That's why I have this backdrop. My favorite competition. The World Cup, it's all right. But, being from here in the United States, I can never be like, oh, let's go USA, because I know they're always going to suck. Even if they win a game, I always know they're not going to play.
The next one, man, they'll let you down, man.
Yeah, so it is what it is. Well, I think we've talked about as much as we could talk about and from the past week proceedings. So we'll catch up again next week, do the show again. For everybody out there watching, please subscribe. We are currently doing a giveaway. If we get to 50 YouTube subscribers, then we will give a random follower $50. So hit that like button, share, comment, but most importantly, subscribe.
Like he said, man, subscribe. Knowledge is not free, man. I'm joking, man. It's free on this channel, but now I want to keep building this community and slowly keep sharing our love and passion for the game with others, man. And if you disagree with something, man, hit us up on an email. We'll get you on here so you can come state your opinion. Your opinion will be wrong, but we'll give you a chance to state it. All right, on to next time, man. Iron Body. Peace.
All right, this is Rick, AX Football. See you guys next week.